What up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for 2,600 something subscribers now. Absolutely crazy since we started the channel between like 3 to 4 months ago. And I was posting like very scarcely in the beginning, like once every month or something. So crazy to see how successful this channel has been so far so quickly. This is one of the videos that I want to do every month. I believe I missed last month, but I think it's a very important topic to discuss the most expensive PSA 10 cards of the Scarlet and Violet era. Every month, give updates. We're going to look at the card that was in the video from 2 months ago, right? Some weren't, but if they were in that video from 2 months ago, I will actually put like the previous price and how much it changed over the last 2 months. So because we did that first video, we'll have a cool kind of marker to see what's going up, what's going down. Keep in mind, 2 months is not that much time, but it's going to be very telling. And I told you guys a million times, PSA 10 prices can help predict the future value of the Scarlet Art era and like which cards are going to be the most expensive. A strategy I used for Sword and Shield era was just buying the most expensive PSA 10 cards there were. And then I just did that a year to 2 years ago, and I made pretty much off of every card is up. And most cards, I made multiples on it. So like 2xing, 3xing, sometimes 4xing by just buying the best of the best and holding it, right? And I do think that this is why it's good to know what cards in Scarlet and Violet and PSA 10 are the best of the best. And then by holding it, you could hopefully, have much more value down the line. We're talking years to come. So let's jump into it. If you do like Pokemon investing talk, make sure to like and subscribe for more of it because we do that a lot here. Here we're talking about the 30 most expensive, and we're starting right away over 500 USD. So I tried to make it as interesting as possible. So we will be having right off the bat over 500 USD value. And it's pretty crazy. You'll see a lot of it is prismatic evolutions. And something I said last time was expect some of the Surging Sparks cards to go down in price, right? Because Surging Sparks was inflated, it was new. Probably you could say the same right now for Prismatic Evolutions, despite the fact that Pokemon said they're specifically going to try to print more of Prismatic Evolutions. We still haven't really seen that affecting prices that much. As you'll see, there's an insane amount of cards here from Prismatic Evolutions. They just haven't printed enough soon enough because when they say they're gonna print a lot of people have said this. That means like a good deal of months we need to wait for that stuff to really get into the market and to maybe affect some of these prices. But for now, this stuff is still scarce. The people that got sealed products like me are keeping most of it sealed as a sealed investment, and so you're just not seeing a lot of these single cards get into the market, let alone PSA 10. And so obviously you have very small supply with a lot of demand, and you're going to get high prices. I do expect to see these fall in like a year from now. Maybe not all of them, but definitely most of them. But we'll see what happens. Prismatic Evolutions has been pretty crazy. Keep in mind, it's been out for like over 2 months now and still holding insane prices. So Blood Moon Ursaluna, a card probably a lot of you didn't expect to see on this list, but it does make the list at number 30. Latias from Surging Sparks, right? This has been holding some pretty decent value, right? Last time, on January 20th, the price point was 611 USD. Now, the high price, it can fluctuate, right? As we see, there's a price point, there's a sale closer to 450, but the high price, which is how we go based on these videos, because you need a way to pick what you're going to use as to be consistent with every single card. And what I do is I look at the latest sales and I just take the higher one. So here it's 550 USD is the high sale, which is kind of staying relatively stable compared to where it was 2 months ago, which is a good sign in my opinion for this card. Palafin, again, Prismatic Evolutions. This is a really cool card. I was lucky enough to actually draw it in Japanese when I was opening the Japanese Prismatic Evolutions. And yeah, it's a really cool card. I really wanted it. Why? Because I'm into manga. And this was actually illustrated by a manga artist, the Fist of the North Star artist. So it's actually a legendary crossover. I hope they do a lot more like it. Like imagine one with Oda from One Piece, or from the Naruto creator. Like, it would be absolutely insane to do a lot of these manga artist Pokemon collaborations. This one is one of the first, as far as I know. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but very cool. Fist of the North Star is an absolutely holds absolutely legendary status in the manga community. So 576 USD for this card. Eevee Pokemon Center promo, 600. Well, I put 600 USD. I was going off of that first sale, but actually it should be 619 USD if we're kind of sticking with using the higher price. So keep that in mind. But no surprise here. I did tell you guys that this was one of the ones to watch out for, of course, because you have a very cute illustration of Eevee. It's tied to Prismatic Evolutions. It's tied to the best investment of Scarlet Violet era, which is Pokemon Center ETBs. You got a Pokemon Center promo. All those Pokemon Center promos with popular fan favorite Pokemon like Eevee tend to do well, especially if they're not super easy to grade. So this one's holding some good value, and I'm not surprised at all there. Drowsy. So this one's been quite on a huge roller coaster. Sorry about that. Roller coaster ride since I made this last video. So this was January 20th. It was at 441 USD. It was even surprising then that it held so much value. Since then, it went with sales all the way to 1,000 USD, multiple sales at 1,000 USD, and now it's dropped back to 600 USD, consistently selling for right now. So what can you take away from that? You can take away that it is still hitting that higher low compared to 441, still at a higher price point, but obviously it couldn't maintain those 1,000 USD price points so soon. We'll see what the future holds. Like I said, it's still in the top 30, number 26 of all of Scarlet Violet PSA 10s, which is saying a lot. So we'll see. We'll have to watch this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being still one of the ones you want to have in PSA 10 5-10 years down the line. I think it's a pretty iconic card with a great story behind it, how all of the Pokemon community kind of rallied and talked about this card and everything. Very cool artist as well, cool artwork. Raging Bolt number 5, Prismatic Evolutions, right? You see a theme here. Prismatic Evolutions, even cards you don't think would expect to make it here, even Pokemon you don't expect to make it here, are here just because of how hot Prismatic Evolutions is right now. Here we have the Raging Bolt for 650 USD. Jolteon, now we're getting into the evolutions, right? You'll get, with these newer stuff, you'll get a lot more inconsistent sales, right? It doesn't have that baked in established price point like some older cards might. So you have a big discrepancy here between 642 and then 710. We're obviously going with the high one, so 710 for the Jolteon, the least expensive evolution in PSA 10. Greninja from Twilight Masquerade, right? Number 23. Crazy to think that this is number 23, which is how stacked the list is right now in terms of value. So in January 20th, it was 899 USD, but I have to point out this was an outlier sale even at the time. It was a good deal ahead of the ones around it. The way I always looked at it is Greninja has held that over 1,000 Canadian price point, and with 720, it's still over 1,000 Canadian. So it's been holding relatively strong. Number 22 is Umbreon Master Ball from Prismatic Evolutions. You see the inconsistent sales, the inconsistent numbers, crazy. But yeah, the high one, to be fair, 750 USD, but you even have one for less than 500 USD. So very volatile, but still the most expensive by far Master Ball. Snorlax 151 Pokemon Center ETB. Surprisingly down. Last time, January 20th, the price was 800 USD when I did the video. Now you have 750 USD high plus a 650 USD sale. One of the things holding this one back in the PSA 10 compared to the Charmander from City and Flames and the Pikachu from Paldea Evolved is it was considerably easier to get a PSA 10, considerably easier to grade, and as a result there are a lot more PSA 10s, which flood the supply, and so there's going to be just less value even with similar demand, right? Number 20, Cerulege Prismatic Evolutions. Again, Prismatic Evolutions, absolutely ridiculous. I was considering not even putting them on the list because it just skews the numbers so much. But to be fair to Prismatic Evolutions, it's been out for over 2 months. So there has been some time for the prices to potentially drop. I do think, a lot of these will drop more further. But still, since it's been over 2 months, it made sense for me to put it in. Cerulege 750 USD. I know a lot of people like this artwork. Gold Pikachu, take this with a huge grain of salt. You guys know that gold cards don't tend to hold their value, and this is not sold frequently, right? It's been approaching a month of no sales of this, but the last sale, March 2nd, happened to be 819 USD. So I'm just putting that here. The one before that was 600 USD, right? A lot of volatility, a lot of variation, and not a lot of sales. So I wouldn't take this one too seriously, but I just wanted to, not miss anything. I wanted to provide you guys with all the information there is and to do the list fairly. So to be fair, Gold Pikachu is here at 819 USD. Number 18, Pikachu with gray felt hat. Now I like this one a lot more than some of these cards because it's been around for a while, had time to establish a kind of price point that you can more or less trust at this point. Right now, the high sale was 825 USD, with the other sale not being way far behind at 775 USD. Think this one will also be one of the most iconic cards. I did a video about what I think will be the most iconic cards of the era, ones to have and ones that will, in theory hold or go up significantly in value over the years, and this was definitely one of it. Number 17, Flareon, actually doing really well. I guess the artwork really satisfied a lot of people. A lot of people enjoyed the artwork because Flareon's not usually, so popular compared to Jolteon, for example, as far as I know, but here it's significantly more expensive if you at least count the most expensive sale at 850 USD. So Jolteon far behind there. Bubble Mew, so aka the Mew from Paldean Fates, right? This one, January 20th, was 1,005 USD, so it retraced, right? They said they're going to do reprints for the booster bundles. So here we have 850 USD currently. Not a huge decline, but still something worth noting here. Eevee from Prismatic Evolutions. Again, huge range, 720, 880, but the high was 880 USD, so put that in there. Number 14, Espeon from Prismatic Evolutions. 850 USD and 910 USD, so put 910 USD there. A lot of these, it's interesting to see which Glaceon, which evolution, and which artworks tend to be the most popular. And Glaceon is definitely one of the more popular ones. You see 910 USD there too. But the lower sale is even higher than the lower sale for Espeon at 870 USD. Then Roaring Moon, surprisingly, actually getting in between the evolutions. Again, huge variation, but Shinji Kanda did the artwork here. The same guy that did Giratina, the same guy that did Magikarp. I feel like I don't even need to explain when I say Shinji Kanda, but to be fair, there probably are new people new to the hobby watching this video. So the point is, this is a very popular artist. This is a popular artwork. Not the most popular Pokemon, but fairly popular in this generation. So not surprising to see this holding value, but kind of surprising to see it wedged in between the evolutions at 950 USD sale high. Leafeon, I actually really like this artwork. I think it's a very unique one. And so I'm not surprised to see it's one of the most expensive evolutions. You have a high sale of 950 USD. Now, guys, if you're enjoying this video so far, before we get into the top 10, hit that subscribe button, put this here so I remind you and don't forget. Thank you so much for watching. And let's jump into the top 10. Number 10, Charizard, actually holding some pretty good value here. So January 20th, the price was 971, I should say, USD high sale. So again, there's a 850 USD, which is kind of a big gap, but the high sale is 1,000 USD. So this one's actually above where it was 2 months ago. Number 9, Pikachu Pally Evolved Pokemon Center ETB promo. Right, you guys know I'm a big believer in this long term. I have 5 copies of it, and it's pretty much stayed the same. January 20th was 1,001 USD. Now, latest sales 1,000 USD. So holding good value. The crazy thing is I got all of mine below 500 USD, with one even being like 150 USD. So definitely seen a lot of gains here, and 2 months is not a lot of time, but this one's been for the last 2 months staying kind of stagnant. Surging Sparks, but better stagnant than what Pikachu and Surging Sparks did, which is go from 1,200 in January 20th to 1,000 USD now, and some sales even 900. But the thing is, I warned you guys that Surging Sparks was hot at that point, and of course we are seeing that drawback, right? Especially with new shinier cards, so to speak, entering into the fray with Prismatic Evolutions, with Journey Together, and especially Destined Rivals coming and having a lot of hype in and of itself. It's not surprising that a lot of the shine is off of this Pikachu, and this was expected, right? It was expected for the price to go down, just like it did for the Latias, just like it did for the Melodic, and yeah, this is common. This is what's expected. Not every card's gonna be like the Greninja, which actually goes up after its initial debut. Sylveon from Prismatic Evolutions at number 7. So Sylveon is comfortably at that second most popular evolution in Prismatic Evolutions place at 1,175 USD sales consistently. Magikarp actually retraced from January 20th being at a price of 1,426 USD to now going back to 1,215 USD, even a sale closer to 1,100 USD. So not surprising there, especially with the announcement that Paldea Evolved will also be getting reprints. But I do think long term, this card will definitely continue to do well. And really, it's not a huge retracement here. We're talking 200 USD on a 1,215 USD card here. So not the biggest change, but something to note. Number 5, now we're in the top 5, Vaporeon. Actually, I stand corrected. Okay, I forgot about the Vaporeon. They had this one sale, so maybe not consistently in second place, but it did have a sale according to our rules that would put it at 1,250 USD. So if we look at it that way, this is the second most expensive evolution in Prismatic Evolutions. Number 4, Koraidon. I've been talking about this card lately, and we've had a sale before these two of 1,300 USD, and then this one of 1,957 USD. It's usually from the UK. They seem to be paying more for these cards, and then most lately 1,275 USD straight from PSA. So this one last time was 400 USD, right on par with the Miraidon, but it's left Miraidon in the dust. Miraidon wasn't even on this list, right? Didn't even make the cut out of the top 30. Koraidon, on the other hand, is number 4 because, and I've been talking about this, and I've been talking about this card, and the interesting thing about it is it's very hard to grade. It's very hard to get it in a PSA 10. Why? Why is it so much harder than the Miraidon? I have no idea. I don't know. I'd assume they're using the same factories, the same process, but this card is so much harder to grade and such a smaller chance of getting a PSA 10 than the Miraidon that the prices have started to reflect that. They weren't reflecting it in January 20th, but if you guys pay close attention to this kind of stuff, you could predict these kinds of divergences, right? Both were at 400 USD, and then if you looked at the chance of getting PSA 10 for this, for the Miraidon, you could have put your money behind the Koraidon, and then you would have been way ahead here compared to, let's say you bought equal number or you just bought the Miraidon. So this is why it's important to get, deep into these kinds of PSA 10 analyses and to see what's the chance of getting a PSA 10, what's the current price point, what's the potential future price point, right? You could have in 2 months pretty much more than quadrupled your money. So interesting to consider. Koraidon definitely has been a story in the Pokemon community. Number 3, Charmander Obsidian Flames promo. So what I consider to be the king of the Pokemon Center promos. So hard to grade, ridiculously hard to grade this Charmander. Way harder than even the Pikachu, although their population is similar. Why? I don't know if maybe Paldea Evolved had less Pokemon Center ETBs released. But either way, this one's really hard to grade. And the current high price is 2,000 USD, which is a whole 500 USD above the January 20th price. So at a time where a lot of stuff is retracing, this one's been doing actually pretty good. Guys, this one will shock you. Like, did you see this coming? And I did, actually. If you guys watch my videos, I said this one before it got anywhere close to these insane price point. I said this one's the number 1 candidate for a buyout. And why? Because there's such a small population PSA 10 and it's hard to get a PSA 10. The gem rate is difficult. So number 2 is Fluttermane promo from Temporal Forces Pokemon Center ETB. Would I recommend this? No, I would not. This is not a popular set, relatively speaking. It's not a popular Pokemon, relatively speaking. And not a lot of people have commented that they enjoy this artwork or anything like the Drowsy. It's pretty much a situation where a few people or even, one person could have a bunch of the very small number of these in PSA 10 and they could set the price. And you see it's not consistently selling. It's not like there's a sale every day. One sold March 2nd, one sold March 14th, both around 2,000 USD. But again, I wouldn't really be interested personally in this. I just think it was one of those prime candidates for someone to buy it out. I called that and it looks like it happened. And now those people can set the price points. Doesn't mean you have to pay it, right? I'd be very surprised if, a year, 2 years, 5 years down the line, this is anywhere close to the Charmander in price. I doubt it. But right now, there's short supply. And so those who really want it gotta pay big bucks. And number 1, Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions. I don't think anyone's surprised here. Stay tuned though, because I will be talking about future PSA 10s to watch right after this. But Umbreon in Prismatic Evolutions is still selling sometimes for over 3,000 USD. By far the most expensive PSA 10 right now. And we have seen some sales dip below 3,000, like 2,850 USD. But keep in mind, this is new, right? This may be one of the few cards that holds good value, because in Prismatic Evolutions, in terms of maybe staying steady at this price point or even going higher, because it is right now the king of the Scarlet and Violet era. And if it maintains that title, that will have its own premium. It always does in terms of cost. But it could go either way, honestly. It has dropped a lot since it initially came out, since those first PSA 10s. And it could definitely drop more. But right now is definitely a better point to buy it than when it was selling for like 5,000 USD or more for a PSA 10. So I'm sure that you could do worse than buying this for like 2,850 USD if you're holding long term. But the wild card here is we know we're going to get reprints for this. We don't know how big the reprints are going to be. If they happen to be huge, that will affect the price for PSA 10s. That's just how it is. If the Pokemon Center Eevee is a bit different because they might not reprint the Pokemon Center ETBs, so those cards might not be affected. But this one, definitely if they reprint a lot of Prismatic Evolutions over the next few years, this could further bring down the price of this Umbreon in PSA 10. Also, watch out for Rocket's Mewtwo coming up in Destined Rivals, because it could dethrone this as the most expensive PSA 10, and then it would lose that most expensive PSA 10 of the Scarlet and Violet era premium as well. And now we have future PSA 10s to watch out for. Right, it's too early for Journey Together to have PSA 10s at this point. We don't know what the chances of getting PSA 10s are going to be, if the print quality has been improving or declining in this set. We will see soon over the upcoming months. But definitely Lily's Clefairy, I could definitely see him making it on this list. You have Salamence to watch out for. I don't know how much a Belly Bolt, even though it's Iono's, will hold value personally. Hobbs Zacian, I'm not too excited about those cards. If I'm being honest with you guys, I'm looking at the Lily's Clefairy, the Salamence, and Articuno personally. Those are ones I would like to add to my collection or portfolio, if you will. The other ones I'm not crazy about, but we'll see what happens. Thanks guys so much for watching this video. Like I said, like and subscribe if you like Pokemon investing talk like this, and I'll see you in the next one.